What are the aspects of human input that are really valuable and that are always going to be scarce? And then some of the different ways that, we can sort of pair up AI transformation with human capabilities.
Right. Okay. Well, that sounds like a good topic.
Yes.
And I'm going to let you kick it off.
Let's do that. Well, if you wade into thinking first about automation, firstly, you're falling into the trap, of course, of thinking like, well, technology first rather than people and process. And secondly, you're not actually recognizing where the human contribution or the value of your human capital effectively actually lies. And it is going to shift because if the human is not having to necessarily, let's say, create a first draft or create, a brief or what have you, it's easy to go, great, we've automated that. We can get rid of the person who's doing that. But actually, of course, the person who's doing that contributes to other things as well. Like they brought taste to the whole process in terms of judging output. They understood the context of the organization, of perhaps the client, of the brand. There are all these little aspects to the human contribution that you actually can't automate. So, what's important is to think about how you get the best out of the entire setup. How can you use AI to automate, bring efficiencies to the parts of the process, the parts of the workflow where that's a valuable thing to do. But where do you also need to retain the human input that creates, value in terms of judging the output or like directing the brief or what have you that are still going to contribute to the quality output.
Right. Yeah. That actually reminds me of put a post up on LinkedIn, I think it was, the other day, and somebody responded because the subject of the post was exactly that, about you know carefully automating the mundane things,
Right.
the things that have got less value
Right.
should be automated, and the things therefore freeing up time for people to focus on the more valuable things, right? So
Right.
again, I think we've all totally bought into that thinking. Does theoretically make a lot of sense, and you could sort of see the huge benefits to both individuals and companies for doing that.
Yeah.
But actually, somebody wrote a comment on my post and said, but sometimes the mundane work is the work. And so what he was referring to in that particular instance was, he was talking about accounting and finance and I think bookkeeping actually specifically. Actually, bookkeepers are bookkeepers because they really like doing that work and that's what they're really good at. And actually, it isn't something, a bit like your lawyer analogy or legal analogy earlier. Some things you don't want to leave to chance, right?
Right.
Sure, the machine, the calculator is faster at adding things up than a human is, or
Right.
in theory, or whatever,
Right.
whatever it might be, or doing complicated calculations more quickly than a human can do it. Mistakes can still be made, and you still need human judgment in there to make sure that
Yeah.
things have been done. What does good look like? Is it correct? How could you improve on this particular output? And so his point was, or her point was, the mundane isn't actually a good filter for what should or shouldn't be automated, because sometimes the mundane is just as important, and if not more important, than the valuable work, the perceived valuable work. So
Right.
anyway,
Right. Right.
I thought that was an interesting
It's a
thing.
really interesting point.